Hey there, it's Tracy, and today I'm creating a bright birthday card using the Birch Press Design Party Balloon dies. I used the two largest balloons from the set, and I die cut them from Bristol Smooth cardstock and used my ink blending brushes to add Distress Oxide ink. I started with picked raspberry for the first balloon, and I focused on adding color to the bottom and right side of the balloon, leaving some white space in the center for a bit of extra dimension. I didn't fuss too much because the upper left of the balloons were either going to be cut off or hidden behind the other balloon. I used Twisted Citron for the second balloon, and again I really focused putting the color down to the bottom right. I really sped through my ink blending today because I know you've seen me do this so many times before, and I wanted to show you the rest of what I was going to do. Once the two balloons were blended, I used some perfect pearls to add some shine to the balloons. I put a small amount on my acrylic block, mixed my paintbrush with some water, and then I flicked it onto the balloons by tapping two paintbrushes together. The second brush was just wet with water, so it ended up with a mixture of tiny water droplets and perfect pearls. So pretty. So once I was done with that, I just set the two balloons aside so that I could go ahead and work on my sentiment. I used the modern alphabet dies to create my sentiment. Each one of the letters of the alphabet has two dies, a shadow and the letter that fits over top, leaving a small border. I cut both from white cardstock, and then I colored the smaller letters with Copic markers to match the color of the balloons. I used YG01 for the green and RV25 for the pink. Those seem to match up with the Distress Oxide inks perfectly. So I just went ahead and I did it just over a piece of paper and just very lightly ran the color over, making sure I covered all the white up. So again, today I've done a lot of very simple coloring with my Distress Oxide inks, with my Copic coloring. It's just all really, really simple coloring. And so when I was done, I just glued the letters right over top of the shadows and I set them aside so that I could start assembling the card. I adhered the green balloon first with tape runner directly over the card front, sort of in the upper center of the card, and then I overlapped the large pink balloon, also with tape runner. I didn't add any extra dimension to the balloons because I'm going to be drawing on the card with a pen soon. The larger balloon intentionally hangs off the top edge, but don't worry, we're going to trim that off a little bit later. To create my balloon strings, I grabbed my small T-square, and using a fine tip black marker, I drew the strings onto each one of the balloons. I always think adding a little detail like that to a die cut image or to a stamped image is just a really nice little detail. It just looks so, finishes the card off. I did a little bit of stamp surgery for the rest of my sentiment. Using the Best Friend stamp set, I isolated the word birthday from the set, and then I stamped it in black on the bottom right-hand corner of my card front. I just did it with an acrylic block because it's not always necessary to grab the MISTI to do stamping. At this point, I flipped the card over, and then using scissors, I trimmed off the part of the balloon that was hanging off the edge of the card. I put small pieces of foam tape on the back of all the letters for the word happy. Then once again, I used my T-square to help line up the word happy as I attached the letters just to make sure that it was straight. I started off by putting the H on the far left, I put the last letter, which is the Y, on the far right, and then I filled the letters in between, making sure that I got even spacing for all of them. I find the T-square to be a really valuable tool in my craft room. Whether it's for drawing lines on something or lining something up, it's just really handy. Okay, so the final touch is to use my black pen to draw a line across the neck of the balloons. I just did this freehand. And the card is done. So thank you so much for stopping in and creating with me today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time.